We all talk about our dreams, where we want to be, the lifestyle we imagine, the success we crave. But here's the truth: a dream without a deadline is nothing more than a wish. Wishing doesn't get you the life you want. Deadlines do. When you put a date on your dream, you transform it from an idea into a mission. Think about it. How many times have you told yourself, I'll start tomorrow or maybe next week? That's the trap. Without a deadline, investment someday becomes never. But the second you give your dream a timeline, the second you say, by June I will have saved this much, by December I will have built this much, suddenly it's real. Suddenly you have something to chase. Deadlines create urgency. They strip away the comfort of excuses. When you know the clock is ticking, you stop waiting for perfect conditions because you realize perfection is just another form of procrastination. You start moving, and that momentum is everything. Here's the powerful part: big transformations don't happen overnight. They happen through small, time-bound steps. Break the dream down. You want financial freedom? Set a date for your first 1,000 saved. Want to start a business? Set a date for when your first product goes live. Those deadlines stack, and each one builds confidence until the dream doesn't just feel possible. It feels inevitable. And let's be real, 2025 cannot be another year of waiting. We've had enough waiting. The world isn't slowing down, and neither should you. Every month you delay is a month closer to regret. This year has to be different. It has to be the year of urgency, the year of accountability, the year you stop waiting and start building. So set your deadlines, write them down, put them on your calendar, and then chase them like your future depends on it, because it does. Stop waiting. Start building. Your dream doesn't need more time. It needs a deadline. A dream without a deadline is just a wish. That's the hard truth. We love the idea of dreaming big, of imagining what life could look like if everything went right. Investment. But the reality is that without structure, it's nothing more than a story we tell ourselves. Think about it. How many times have you said you'll do something one day? Maybe it's starting a business, getting in shape, building financial freedom, or even just learning a new skill. One day has a nice ring to it, but it's the most dangerous phrase because it gives us permission to delay forever. And the longer we delay, the further away those dreams drift until they eventually fade into nothing more than wishful thinking. The difference between the people who make their dreams happen and the people who just talk about them comes down to one thing: a deadline. When you give yourself a clear date, something shifts. Suddenly, the dream isn't just floating around in your head anymore. It has weight, it has urgency, and it has accountability. If you say, investment, I'll start my business someday, that's vague, there's no urgency. But if you say, by July, I will launch my first product, you've turned that vague dream into a real mission. Now, there's pressure investment, but it's the kind of pressure that gets you moving instead of keeping you stuck. This is why deadlines matter so much. They don't just keep you honest, they force action. Investment. They create a line in the sand where you have to decide if you're serious about your dream or just comfortable with the fantasy of it. Because the truth is, the calendar never stops. Investment. The months keep passing whether you're working toward your dream or not. And if you don't set that deadline, your dream will always remain just a wish. Deadlines force action, and they strip away the excuses we love to hold on to. Without them, it's easy to convince yourself that you'll start when you feel ready, when you have more money, or when the timing is just right. But if we're honest, those are just ways of staying comfortable. The truth is, you're never going to feel fully ready. There will always be something that makes it tempting to wait. That's why setting a clear deadline matters so much. It locks you in. It leaves no room for maybe, no space for later. Investment. When you see a date on your calendar, it changes the way you think. Suddenly, you're not just hoping things will happen. You're preparing for them. A deadline forces you to look at the gap between where you are and where you want to be and then decide how to close it. That's when procrastination dies, because you know time is running. And when time is running, you stop wasting it. You stop telling yourself stories about someday and start figuring out what has to be done today. What makes deadlines so powerful is that they bring urgency into the equation. And urgency is what creates focus. Without urgency, everything feels optional. With urgency, everything feels necessary. That shift is what gets you to take action on the things you've been avoiding. It's the push you need to stop overthinking and start executing. Because once the clock is ticking, you can't afford to stay frozen. Every time you place a real deadline on your dream, you give yourself the structure to turn it into progress. Without it, the dream fades. With it, excuses vanish. And when excuses vanish, results appear. The mistake most people make with their dreams is thinking they have to accomplish everything all at once. That mindset is what keeps so many people paralyzed, because the dream feels too big, too overwhelming, and too far away. But the truth is, the biggest transformations don't come from one giant leap. They come from small, consistent steps stacked over time. And when you put deadlines on those steps, That's when progress becomes unstoppable. Think about saving money. If your dream is to have financial freedom, it doesn't happen by saying, I want to be rich someday. That's vague. But if you set a deadline to save your first 500 in the next 30 days, now you have a clear time-bound goal. Then you build on it. The next step is $1,000 by the end of the quarter, then $5,000 by the end of the year. Those small milestones may not look huge in the moment, but each one is a building block. They stack up, and over time, they transform your reality. It works the same way with fitness, learning a new skill, or starting a business. You don't need to launch the perfect product overnight. You set a deadline to create your prototype. You set another deadline to get your first customer. Those small wins compound and they create momentum. And momentum is what keeps you going when things get hard. The power of small, time-bound steps is that they make the impossible feel possible. They take something huge and break it down into pieces you can actually handle. And every time you hit one of those smaller deadlines, you're not just getting closer to your dream, you're proving to yourself that it's achievable. 2025 has to be the year where urgency replaces waiting. Because if you think about it, investment. How many years have already slipped by while you told yourself you still had time? That mindset is dangerous because time doesn't slow down for anyone. Every month you hesitate, every week you postpone. That's investment. That's not just time passing, it's opportunity slipping away. And the hard truth is the longer you wait, the harder it gets to start because waiting becomes a habit. You get comfortable with delay, and before you know it, another year has gone by with nothing to show for it. This is why urgency matters so much right now. When you set deadlines, you're declaring that this year will not be wasted like the ones before. You're drawing a line in the sand that says, I'm done talking about it. I'm going to build it. That shift in mindset changes everything. Suddenly, you're no longer living in the hope of tomorrow. You're taking control of today. And it's not about perfection, because perfection is just another excuse to delay. It's about progress. It's about showing up, setting the dates, and moving forward even if it's messy at first. Because at the end of the day, progress beats waiting. One imperfect step toward your dream is worth more than 1,000 perfect plans you never acted on. 2025 can be the year where everything changes, but only if you decide it will be. Only if you stop waiting for the right moment and realize that the right moment is right now. This is the year to take urgency seriously, because if you don't, you'll be sitting in the same place 12 months from now, wishing you had started today.